Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transform by iCentra.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let's give 5 minutes to more people so that they can join in on the webinar.
Every day, businesses face new challenges, from managing complex operations to keeping up with the latest technology. For over 15 years, iCentra has been a trusted partner dedicated to transforming people and organizations for excellent performance. Leading organizations across industries rely on our expertise to achieve tangible results. We deliver comprehensive value through a suite of integrated solutions. Enterprise transformation, guiding your journey through digital, organizational, and agile transformations. Cybersecurity and GRC.
And there you have it. So to know more, follow us across all our social media platforms at iCentra and visit www.icentra.com. Again, my name is Obianuju, and I will be introducing the host for today's webinar session. It is my pleasure to hand over to the host who will be guiding us through today's session. Of course, he's none other than the CEO of iCentra. Please, let's put our digital hands together for Mr. Taufik Babayeju as I hand over the mic to him.
I have the privilege of welcoming every one of you to another edition of the Transform webinar by iCentra. It's amazing the crop of Amazons that we have today on this call today. I've had the privilege of working with closely with some of them, and also had a professional relationship with some of them who I consider the best in the industry to speak to the subject matter that we're discussing today. But before I go into their introduction, let me let you know that you're about to experience something powerful today. So if you have not been a PMO leader, it's your chance to learn from the best in the industry. On this call today, on this session today, I have two people that are on the Global Advisory Council of PMI Global. That's no mean feat. I also have somebody who has won PMI, recognized with PMI's PMO of the Year here, and PMO GA North American Award of the PMO of the Year. So let me just let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to start not in any particular order. Christine DeVore was, I met at PMI Global Summit 2024 as part of the award winner when I won PMI Regenerate Person of the Year, and we had a quick acquaintance, and we followed each other ever since. She's the founder and CEO of Willow Path Advisory Group. Apart from that, she's certified from PMP to PFMP to PGMP, just name it. She has all the certification, but we're not here to talk about her certification. She's a creator of Willow Path Framework. She has more than 2 decades experience in project management and over a decade spent designing, developing, and launching enterprise PMOs. Our work has been recognized with PMI PMO of the Year in 2021, and also PMI PMOGA North American PMO of the Year in 2024. That was when we met. She currently chairs PMI's Healthcare Collective. The next person is an Amazon from Nigeria, Bisi Toro Popola. I call her my sis. We have had more than a decade, I think about 15 years, working together, developing PMO at the Central Bank of Nigeria. She's a deputy director and group head of EPMO at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Please, digital round of applause for her. She's a certified Scrum Master and a project management leader, recognized for exceptional leadership in project and portfolio management. BC helped to establish the Enterprise Portfolio Management Office in the Central Bank of Nigeria, and she has led its transformation from project management maturity level 1 to level 3, which is an historic achievement for the central bank, and making CBN becoming the first African institution, financial institution, a central bank to join PMI Global Advisory Council, where she sits also as representative of the project management, of CBN at PMI Global Advisory Council. Next is no other person than another friend, another professional from the southern part of Africa. Nozibele Inshokocha is a seasoned leader in capital infrastructure, project execution, and public sector governance, with over 20 years experience delivering multi-billion rand transport and water projects. She currently serves as a senior manager, capital execution at Rand Water, and a non-executive director at PMI South Africa, where she contributes to strategy, ethics, and risk oversight. Like I mentioned, she's a senior manager, capital execution at Rand Water, and a non-executive director at PMI South Africa. You would agree with me that in this room today, you have, in the spirit of IWD, which is International Women's Day month, we have most experienced professionals and leaders of PMO right here in the room. So, but before I go forward, let me just do a quick session background so that you know what to expect today. So let me quickly do this. Across industries, organizations continue to invest significantly in strategy, transformation initiatives, and delivery programs. Yet, a persistent challenge remains how to translate this investment into measurable and sustainable value. In many cases, the issue is not the absence of strategy, but gaps between strategy and execution system. One of the most critical and yet often on the leverage structure in building or in bridging this gap is the projects, programs, or even portfolio management office, as you would like to call it. But the traditional PMO are focused on a few things, which is project tracking, compliance reporting, delivery coordination. While these are also very important, they are no longer sufficient in today's complex and dynamic environment. So organizations now require something more, a capability that connects strategy, governance, execution, and value creation and realization. This is where the concept of strategic PMO as value management office becomes very, very critical. Today, this session will explore how organizations can reposition from PMO to a PMO from a delivery-focused function to a strategic enterprise capability that enables portfolio alignment with strategic priorities, governance-led execution, benefit realization as a core performance metric, and continuous transformation at scale. Over the next 90 minutes, we will explore the evolution of the PMO in modern enterprise, the difference between traditional and strategic PMO models, the role of portfolio governance in driving value, why benefit realization is often a missing link, and practical insights from real transformation journey. We encourage you to participate actively and share your question in the chat. So let me take it one after the other. I'm gonna, after setting the background, I want to hear from our experienced speakers to share their opening statements or background as they may deem fit. So I'll start from the North America, where our Dallas office in iCentra sits. So let me welcome Kristen DeVore, amazing Kristen DeVore, to give us opening statements or presentation, whatever.
Well, thank you. Super excited to be here with all of you. I think when we think about PMOs, and I've been standing up and designing ePMOs for over a decade now, and I think we're really at this crossroad where when we think about PMOs historically, it was about governance and it was about process and it was about templates and reporting. All of those things are still critical. We still need to do those. But when we start to think about a PMO, we have to work what I say top of license. And yes, we have to do governance and we have to take meeting minutes and our PMs have to do that. But you have to think of ourselves as a strategic advisor to our organizations. How do we start to deliver value in a way that goes beyond just really hitting those triple constraints? And so we have to be able to provide visibility, and it goes beyond just delivering on our status reports. We have to think about our portfolios in totality. Yes, what's on track? What is at risk? And what key decisions do we need to help our leaders make? And so a strong PMO is going to give you that transparency into everything in totality. So that way, then our leaders can make actionable decisions, potentially trade-offs, and really enabling them to get into a place of true project portfolio management. And that means it's not, we're going to do everything and nothing is going to stop. That's a maturity level that PMOs should be striving for. But we have to do this with a balance. So we have to have structure, but we have to also be flexible when we think about where we want to help the organizations get to. When I think about my time in designing ePMOs, a strong PMO and their foundation, you're about 2 years ahead of where the organization is, and you can help them. You can help them flex, but it's not about all this control. You do need to help teams slow down. You do need to look at capacity reporting, and you do need to think about benefits realization. Where are we enabling the organization to drive the value? And so you also have to think about the cultural side. A big proponent of PMI today is about managing perceptions. I encourage all of you, if you're PMO leaders or if you're PMs within your PMO, what is the perception of your PMO? And it's not, we don't want to be viewed as the no police. We hear that often. And so we don't want to get into this place of constantly policing or resisting. And so we need to be positioning ourselves as a partner because we want to help our teams succeed. So I think overall, PMOs have an opportunity to help the organization mature, but it really truly starts with the PMO, really making sure that your foundation is in order so you can help enable better decisions, better alignment, and ultimately value creation.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Kristen. Having said that background, I'll go over to PC from the Central Bank. I'm sure she has so much to share for our introductory or
Yes, I do have a bit to share. So good day, everybody. Different varying times from all over the world. I'm really happy to be here. It's an honor to be here as we explore a topic that is transforming how organizations bring their ambitions to life. So I would say the strategic PMO. So in the Central Bank of Nigeria, the PMO is actually situated within the strategy department. So that is to show that a lot of importance is attached to the PMO, and it is the heartbeat of the organization. In every organization, as you know, strategy is the dream, but execution is the reality. So if you don't execute, nothing becomes real. And you know, projects bring this to realism. And the truth really is, the gap between the dream and the reality is where many not because people lack the talents, but because the strategy is flawed. And because the structure, the discipline, and the visibility of value needed to execute effectively in place. And this is where the modern PMO steps in. Not as a watchdog, as not as an engine that will enable us navigate and become a value catalyst. So again, at the Central Bank of Nigeria, our journey has shown that when we elevate the PMO into a value management office, three important things begin to happen. You gain clarity, not just on what is being done, but also why it matters. You build the alignment, ensuring that every initiative moves the organization in the direction of its highest priorities. That's linking the initiatives to the mind of the leadership and strategic priorities. And then by so doing, you unlock impact, measurable, meaningful, and organizational value. And value here is the key word. Today, as we discuss portfolio governance, benefit realization, and value-driven decision-making, my hope is that we can ignite a renewed vision of what is possible. Because when a PMO becomes a strategic partner, it does more than manage projects. It begins to shape the future. So again, I am excited to be here. My journey has been such that I have been with the Central Bank going on 15 years, and I was primarily recruited to set up the Enterprise Portfolio Management Office. So we've learned a lot. I'm excited that I'll be in a position to share our stories, our challenges, the lessons that have strengthened our execution muscle to today. So thank you everyone for joining on the webinar. Let's begin to journey together. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Bissy, for that background setting. I'm sure we have a lot to share in the course of our conversation. Our journey together has been over the past 15 years, and we've seen the Central Bank being the standard, the gold standard of PMO or enterprise, PMO in Africa, not just in Nigeria. We just go over, take a flight to South Africa and meet the amazing Nazi Bele to share our introductory insights with us. Thank you. Nazi, take it off from here.
Thank you, Tafik, and good afternoon or good day to everyone. As I'm hailing all the way from South Africa, I'm sure we all have different time zones wherever we are. I will just share slideshow. Um, Apologies on that.
Take your time.
All right.
Do you need help sharing that? Our
Yes,
technical team
please.
can help you.
Can I
Okay,
just
so
send
can you?
it?
Oh yeah, you can send it to me via email so that our technical team will work on that.
Please let me do that. Yeah.
Hey,
Apologies with
it's
the
up now. Yeah.
technicalities. Yeah.
Okay, it's
Pardon?
up already.
It's up now, yeah.
It's
Is
up
it up now?
already.
Okay. All right. Great.
Yes,
So
it
in terms
is.
of so as we're going through the evolution really of just strategic PMO to value management office, it's really all about transforming its essence freely from merely focusing on the project delivery based on time, cost, scope, and quality, which was the old way of looking at project delivery. So now we're really looking and focusing on maximizing business value, benefits, and outcomes. By advancing a PMO to a VMO, it requires a shifting perspective in terms of governance and focusing on value and outcomes instead of process and compliance. So in today's term, really, when it comes to value management, it's all about ensuring that the PMO is a strategic alliance to the executives in terms of also assisting in terms of making decisions for the organization. When it comes to strategic alignment, it talks about ensuring that whatever that is being done from an execution point of view is somehow aligned to the strategy of the business. In terms of aligning the PMO, there are some strategies for value-driven objectives where we ensure that the PMO is strategically aligned in terms of the strategic acumen of the business by ensuring that they state and transport the message in terms of the strategic objectives of the business across the different portfolios where execution has to be done. In terms of transformative and supportive mindset, the PMO really is there to ensure that there is transformation in terms of making sure that there is value from the execution that is being implemented. In terms of support mindset, it comes from a perspective of ensuring that there is collaboration between the different portfolios throughout the execution phase to make sure that the transition is smooth and all the portfolios are aligned in terms of the strategic objectives and the execution that is required. On the agility side, we must bear in mind that a PMO can only really be agile where they are given a capacity or where they are capacitated to be agile. And by that, that comes merely from the leadership. So if the leadership is aligned in terms of their strategic objectives and also given that platform for agility, that can then be translated or transformed down to the execution phase, where there will also be agility in terms of the value that's being brought in by the project management office. So in terms of making sure that the PMO reaches its maturity, that has a benefit towards the execution team, because if we have a PMO that's mature enough, that ensures that the execution phase as well is quite matured, and that brings about alliance and also making sure that the strategic objectives of the organization are adhered to. In terms of looking at the implementation strategies, one has to really look at establishing the value framework. Also looking at the integration would come in a form of collaborating with different portfolios, because the PMO, as the strategic PMO, will be overlooking in terms of the different portfolios of the organization and making sure that value is derived from each and every execution phase towards the strategic objectives. The tools and technologies will be coming from the tools that we will be implemented to ensure that there is easy way of executing projects, just to capacitate the execution team so that they are able to get more time to do what they need to do, and they've got tools and technologies to assist them in doing that. This also ensures that the PMO enhances capacity, because the overall seers in terms of all the execution that is on the ground, they're able to know what is required in terms of any training and any developments that are required for the execution team. So they come in as that enabler to capacitate and enhance capacity throughout the execution teams. They also come in through measuring and reporting value. They will obviously put together some metrics that will then be evaluated to show dashboards that will be giving the reports back to management and executives. And through those dashboards, really, you'll be getting transparency in terms of attaining KPIs and also that alignment to the strategic objectives of the organization. That also brings about accountability to those who are involved in making sure that they are in charge of attaining those KPIs aligned to the strategic objectives of the organization. When we establish the value framework, really what we will be looking at is identifying key stakeholders, because from these key stakeholders, we need to find what are their requirements and what are the things that can be done to incorporate and make sure that there is value in terms of how they execute the work and what is being derived back. We always have to ensure that the C-suite and the leadership is part of these stakeholders, because they are the main key decision makers, and they need to be part of this transition whenever it happens, so that they're aligned. And in terms of them knowing the strategic objectives or strategies of and goals of the organization, whatever is discussed in terms of metrics that are required and a way forward, they will be appraised. In terms of defining the value metrics, really, it goes down to ensuring that the benefits that will be attained from this perspective of having a strategic PMO will be core performance metrics that add value to those that execute the projects, as well as to the organization or the customers. Creating a report structure comes back to those dashboards that we're talking about in terms of giving back reports that will transform into accountability and transparency of ensuring that there is strategic alignment with the execution of the work towards the strategic objectives of the organization. Fostering collaboration, it comes in place when, you're talking to identifying with the stakeholders and also collaborating with the different portfolios, because the strategic PMO really is an overseer of all the portfolios, and just to make sure that all the portfolios are in collaboration and they have the same objectives. There's clarity in terms of the goals that are needed to be attained, and making sure that the communication levels really are clear in terms of decision making as well, because that becomes quite a significant problem during execution, where decisions take quite a long time. So when there's clear communication in terms of how the decisions are given to certain individuals in terms of delegation of authority, that cuts down the timelines in terms of having the decisions taken to make sure that there is no impact in terms of timelines for execution of the projects. The PMO really has to ensure that there's continuous review and adjustment. There's always continuous improvement, because as we're saying, that they need to be agile in terms of how they execute things and the matrix that they bring in. So if certain things are not working at any particular point in time, they have to ensure that they readjust, look at how it has impacted execution, and see what value can be upgraded to ensure that the matrix are then turning the situation around to improve the situation on execution. The governance framework really is to ensure that we enhance project value through structure. I think the colleagues have spoken to it, where we need to make sure that there's robust governance, and also making sure that there's always continuous stakeholder engagement to ensure collaboration, and also to ensure that everyone is involved throughout the project life cycle. When it comes to capacitating the execution team, PMO really, as an overseer, can look at interventions that can be done in terms of training and integration strategies, whereby development of skills is done or is given to those that are executing projects, and also looking at the technologies that can be implemented to enhance collaboration and streamlining the processes to make sure that all people are aligned and there's ease of work. Optimization, it's really ensuring that continuous improvement of workflows to maximize project efficiency. So in terms of the measuring and reporting value, when it comes to PMO, they'll be, as we have spoken to, they have to implement tools and technologies to capacitate the execution team, and ensure that their value dashboards that will be those benefits that are given to the executives as well, to ensure that they are able to make decisions based on the information at hand. And with the effectiveness of matrix, when you have good matrix in place, really that gives comfort in terms of ensuring that the strategic alliance is implemented throughout. And with continuous improvement, it's always about that. Yes.
Amazing job. Amazing
Okay.
job. I'm sure we need to stop here before we speak to all the questions on the panel from these slides alone. Thank you so very much. I think you came well prepared for this, and I like it. Thank you so very much for setting another background for us. So I've heard you, and I've heard my other colleagues, and we have highlighted several critical ideas, particularly around the limitation of traditional PMO and the need to reposition PMO as a strategic capability. We've also seen the importance of governance and value and benefit realization. So PMO perception as a partner of value, value catalyst, and also strategic partner. We've also seen from the introductory part of this conversation to see how we can position our PMO as value and benefits realization engine room, looking at agility, collaboration, clarity, alignment, and value. So we move to the questions. Please, for our participants online, please start putting your questions in the comment section. We're gonna come back to you. I'll go back to the same order and speak to Christine on a few questions. Let me just ask in not particular order. What are the biggest misconceptions organizations have about the role of PMO? I know you've been trying to demystify so many things about PMO online with your amazing work on LinkedIn. I follow you every day. Thank you so very much for what you're doing. So what are the misconceptions that you think organizations have about the role of PMO?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is we sort of get boxed into this admin function where executives and either other leaders, they just see a PMO as someone that's going to schedule my meetings, do my meeting minutes, and just execute my project. And then it's like, bye. And then we roll off into the next thing. And so, you know, I think there's just this misunderstanding. And if you look at PMI's PMO report that they published in January on page 9, because I do have it memorized, there is this beautiful graph that shows executives' view of project management and PMO leaders' in our view of project management. There's a 32-point spread between executives and PMO leaders, right? As PMs, we geek out on project management. But what happens is we lose our executives. We get too hung up on speaking our PM language, and we're not demonstrating value. And so it's really, you have to move the needle. And it's not just, yes, you're going to do those admin functions, but we have to be careful because a lot of AI is going to be able to do that for us. And so thinking about everything, everything everybody has said, thinking about your benefits realization, and even if your organization has potentially boxed you into purely just doing admin functions, just starting to ask the questions. I wonder if this project, what is our return on our investment? I wonder when we're going to have our payback period. They may not have the answers yet, but if you're starting to ask the questions, you're starting to plant the seeds. And when you start even coming into governance, I wonder if all these teams have capacity. But I think some of it comes back to the PMO. If you're not doing the things that you need to do, tracking your capacity, you have to be able to speak to your resource management numbers. It's not enough to say, well, I'm busy, I can't take that on. So you have to be data driven in order to help the organization be data driven and to show your value.
Thank you so very much, Kristen. I'm taking my notes. Another question I would like to ask you is, from your experience, why do many PMOs struggle to move tracking and reporting into the strategic relevance that you just spoke about right now? Why do they struggle?
Yeah, I think there's onus on the PMO. And because if we're not doing those fundamental things, if you don't have a solid onboarding process, you don't have standard JDs, you're not able to say what your charter is, you don't have a good viewpoint of how your PMO is, right? You're just going to be reporting on things. And it's unfortunate because the executives are not going to read your 100-page status report. So thinking about, you have to think in terms of an executive, which is different for PMs, right? We typically are the ones who we go and get our certifications. We know the science side of project management, but it's really the art side will make you or break you. And so you have to elevate as a profession, because with AI coming, those admin functions, AI is going to be able to do for us, because ultimately we have to be able to be solid. I always tell my leaders it's a crawl, walk, run approach in regards to how you mature out your PMO. And so if you're not doing the fundamental basics that you need to do, and you're looking at your capacity planning, you're helping to enable governance, you're looking at benefits realization, you can never help the organization get to the level they need to be if you're not taking onus on your maturity levels as well. And so instead of just reporting out on your projects, give a portfolio level report. It should be a 1-page, and helping to enable your executives and saying, hey, what, I wonder if, and here's some things that we need to be decided on. Here are the blockers that you can help us with. Here is the return on our investment. And so you have to shift from this administrative function and starting to frame the choices and the decisions for our executives.
Fantastic. So basically, you're telling me that PMO practitioners need to move from project management to project leadership and focus on strategic and portfolio, priorities, right? I get that. We're on the same page with that, actually. So the last question I'd like to ask is, what fundamental changes or what fundamentally changes when a PMO evolves into a strategic portfolio or value management office? What's fundamentally changes? What would we see? What would we experience?
Yeah, I think ultimately that is the best place for a PMO to be. And for me, I don't mind if it's a ePMO, if it's an IT PMO, if you're just a PMO, if you're a functional PMO, you have to deliver value. And so you have to move from just tracking your work to shaping the outcomes for your leaders and really helping them to have those trade-off conversations. I often share with my leaders, we like to say yes. I've been in healthcare for over 11 years and we love to say yes to everything. But if you come with your data and saying, look, we've already done this pro forma in conjunction with let's say if you have a strategy office, what is the net present value? Where the ROI is. The return on the investment in regards to sort of like years in regards to that payback period. So then you can start to then have those trade-off conversations and say, look, as a PMO, this is what we have capacity for. You don't say no, right? We don't say no. This goes back to our art side, but you start to then enable the conversations. And then they're trade-offs. And so they start to see you less as a support function and more as an advisor and a strategic partner. So it's just not enough to say, hey, we're on track, right? We do that, we're on track. Instead, you're saying, should we be doing this all right now? Or are there things that we can get a bigger return on our investment if we do these things? And so you have to move out of purely execution and you have to think of yourself as creating value in these projects truly being investments. And too often as a PMO, we're not thinking of them as investments. So then how do we then help enable those conversations with our executives to be that true strategic partner?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so very much for that excellent delivery. I'll go over to DC right now, and I'm going to be speaking to you more about governance and value perspective. I'm sure even from your opening conversation, you've touched on a bit of it, but I'm still going to ask you questions. So question one for me is what we often hear about projects governance but not enough about portfolio governance. You have been at the helms of portfolio management. I realize when, I've seen how your organization evolved. When we set up the framework for CBN and EPM, we was an enterprise program management office, but now it has moved, to enterprise portfolio management office. So how does portfolio governance, change the game in strategy execution? And also, just so that you, the audience, understand, CBN's portfolio management office is actually sitting right in strategy. So we're actually speaking to the evangelist that knows how to connect portfolio to strategy. So you take the floor right now.
Thank you, Taufik. Excellent question. So, because many organizations underestimate the power of portfolio governance, this is why we have the problem. You see, portfolio governance, as you would say as well, Taufik, in many of our conversations, is about doing the right projects. You understand? So in portfolio governance, it's about doing the right projects as opposed to project management that is about doing projects right. So you do projects right. When you do the projects right, if they are not the right projects ab initio, they're not closing that strategic gap. So our role as a strategic PMO is to ensure we get the right projects for approval and for execution. Then we can now distill into project management, doing those right projects, doing them right, and making sure they continue to be the right projects as strategy evolves. We've had several examples within CBN that we have had to say, stop. This is no longer strategically relevant. It might have been the right project at the time, But with the emergence of the PMO, we are able to strategically provide that advice. So at the CBN, adopting a portfolio governance mindset fundamentally changed the way we execute strategy. It allows us to move from that siloed project focus to an integrated enterprise view. For example, we are in the process of introducing what we daily call Project Simple, which is basically a central portfolio dashboard. So this provides a dashboard for projects, real time, online visibility into all our strategic initiatives. Obviously, they're linked to the strategy, they're linked to strategic objectives, and they're linked to particular problems or gaps we want to fill. So we talk about performance, risk, spend, and the value. I say the word value again, the value trajectory. So this transparency in itself enables the C-level, that we call COG, that's the Committee of Governors, to see where the value really is. So COG is not just approving projects by our recommendation, they are making evidence-based decisions on strategic trade-offs, what should we do, what we shouldn't do, what will best suit our needs at the time. We have also institutionalized a governance review where we have a governance framework, and Taufik, you alluded to that. So we have standard templates and compliance checks. What we have introduced right now that is a practical step is where in the past we had standard templates that would be activity driven, our standard templates now have to start to talk about value. So you can't send anything to me in the PMO where you have not demonstrated the value that it's going to get. So these templates are around value checks, compliance. So this has helped strengthen the discipline of accountability across the entire central bank. So you cannot send anything to us where you have not clearly shown there is value. And this places the PMO in a very strategic position that management would defer to us on making those tangible recommendations for what passes as a strategic initiative. The result has been a much more coherent, prioritized, and value-driven portfolio. So if it doesn't meet the criteria, it doesn't form part of the portfolio. We just drop it. So portfolio governance ensures alignment, optimizes limited resources. Yes, we're a central bank, but we have limited resources and we want to be a central bank that is trusted and transparent in all that we do. That's our vision. I haven't quoted it verbatim, but that's what the vision is about. So we need to be seen to optimize our resources, and this would ultimately accelerate the strategic execution. So no longer can you tell me that you reel out a number of activities that you have done. I want to see what the value in this activity is. I want to see how this generates tangible and intangible benefits. Yes, we can talk about the bottom line and profits, but even when we are a not-for-profit organization, and this is for people out there who are not commercially driven, you still have a moral justification to ensure that you provide value even to your, well, in our case, our stakeholders might well be economy. So we need to be seen as transparent. We need to be seen as driving value. We need to be trusted. And the PMO ensures that we put the central bank on the right trajectory for all of this to happen. Thank you.
Amazing work, amazing work, excellently put. I do not actually expect less, judging by the work that amazing work you're doing at the central bank. The next question for you will be, this thing called benefit realization is often discussed, but rarely institutionalized. So why is it the missing link in any transformation efforts?
Okay, so just like my co-webinar panelists have all said, many organizations do a great job delivering outputs. Yes, we have new systems, we have new processes. A lot of these systems actually sit on the shelves. The processes don't even get deployed. But yes, we cross the boxes and we say project closed. Project closed does not mean project completion or project, it might mean project completion, but it definitely does not mean project success. See, we struggle with delivering outcomes and that's why benefit realization frequently becomes the missing link. And I dare say, there are three major reasons. First, once a project goes live, ownership often dissolves. People celebrate delivery, there's celebration, vendor the project, hey, but no one actually tracks whether that expected benefit actually materialized. And I'll tell you why. Because ab initio from the onset, we don't have benefit and value management plans. So what we have institutionalized in the Central Bank of Nigeria is that for you to even submit a business case, I'm going to ask you for your benefit realization plan. What are we deriving? So I tell people and they laugh. I say it's no longer good enough to say you had a meeting as part of the activity. So what did you derive from that meeting? How has that improved the loss of the central bank and the economy? So we ensure that we have all of this embedded even at the onset. That is the only way we are able to track benefits. If we don't articulate them, we are not able to track them. So we articulate, we have benefit owners, so we manage these benefits. The second I'll dare say is organizations, just like I'm saying, rarely define these benefits clearly. Some would define them ambiguously, but they need to be clearly defined from the start with baselines. Because if I am going from how do I and that's how we can begin to measure real tangible benefits. So where were we before this project? What's the counterfactual value? What would have happened if we did not go ahead with this and all of that? So thirdly, I would say benefits become aspirational statements rather than measurable commitments. And because this is the culture, which is usually actual, activity driven. We drive a lot of activities. We're busy doing a lot of things, but are these activities leading to tangible benefits? So at the CBN, we tackled this head on. So we have, as I said earlier, we've developed a formal benefits realization framework. And this goes up to the top of the organization for approval so that even management are involved in this. And every initiative document has to have benefits upfront. Another practical step we did was we assigned post-implementation ownership, ensuring benefits are tracked beyond go live. So, when we talk about benefits, we talk about the normal activities which lead to outputs, and then from the outputs we look at income, outcomes, and then the benefits. But finally, we look at the impact. But today we're stopping at benefits. So we assigned, like I said, clear post-mortem implementation ownership, ensuring benefits are tracked beyond go live. And through the Enterprise Portfolio Management Office of the Central Bank of Nigeria, we have actually embedded benefits monitoring into our quarterly reporting and leadership dashboards. So you're sending anything for to leadership, they want to know, okay, so what benefits have we derived this quarter? What is the value add for this quarter? We don't want to just see you reeling out these activities. So, and that helps them with their go or no go decisions as to whether this strategic initiative is actually delivering benefits, and if we want to go ahead with it onto the next phase. So this has been very helpful. It's very practical, and this has helped us institutionalize this discipline. So benefit realization has shifted from a nice to have conversation to a core governance must have requirement. Thank you, Taufik.
Thank you so very much. I have one more question for you, but I'll come
Oh,
back
really?
to you. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me just ask, because a lot of people we're taking a lot of notes from what you're saying. It's not theoretical. It is what has been done that I've also witnessed. I've witnessed the evolution, and I've also seen how we went from level 1 to level 3, and I've seen the maturity of the organization in terms of ensuring that in integrating benefit realization and value realization and impact assessment in the system. So for any young PM listening or a PMO leader, how can their organization embed value realization into decision making, not just reporting? I've seen you do it. I want to just share, a bit, just in say 2 minutes. Just
okay.
Just drop
Thank you. Thank you, Taufik. We've come a long way, and you've been part of our success story. So everything I say here is what you already know about. Yes. So how can growing organizations embed value realization into decision making and not just reporting? Yeah. So I would say to embed value realization into decision making, organizations must value the lens through which every decision is taken. And what do I mean by this? They start with value during prioritization. So that's our role at the central bank's PMO. So at the CBN, initiatives are screened based on strategic alignment, expected benefits, resource implications, and risk. But if it's not aligned to the strategy, it doesn't even make the next stage. So then once it's aligned to the strategy, you need to be able to articulate these benefits. If the value case isn't strong enough, the initiative simply does not enter our portfolio. So the value case has to be very strong. Number 2, not only should the value case be strong, it also has to be visible. It needs to speak for itself. So our enterprise dashboard at the moment will highlight not just activity progress, but value progress, planned versus realized benefits. So this quarter, you said these are the benefits you're going to realize. So we're going to judge you based on your planned and the realized. So when executives see value data consistently, it shapes their decisions. And it also helps to position the PMO as helping to drive the strategy. It also helps to show the value the PMO is bringing to the organization. Talking about value again, you need to integrate value into the governance gates. So at each stage, your initiation, execution, review, and all that. I must say here that the whole world has gone agile. So you need to be very agile in your iterations, you're planning, you're reviewing, you're looking at value all at the same time. The question is not only are we on time, as we've said, but are we on track to deliver the intended benefits? So we need to ensure we build organizational capacity to do that, and organizational capability. We've honed in on expertise from even iCentra a lot of the time. So through our onboarding sessions, we onboard our project initiative managers across the bank on an annual basis. And we sensitize or socialize them on performance frameworks. We improve annually, we review the frameworks and we improve on them. Best practice says the framework should be reviewed at least every 2 to 3 years. But in today's world, I tell you, you need to review them even more frequently. So improve our benefit literacy across the project managers. We call them initiative managers. We use the word interchangeably. So they know what the expectations are. So this enables them to articulate and track value more confidently. So organizations succeed when value is no longer an add-on or something you report on at the end of the project, but something that
I'll pause you
informs.
there.
Yes.
I'll pause
This
you
is my,
there.
I'm stopping.
Because
This informs
okay.
every approval, escalation, and reprioritization decisions that we make. I'm stopping here. Thank you.
All right. So because I was beginning to enjoy that, I wasn't looking at the time again. But I know that if I give you additional 20 minutes or 30 minutes, your this is
No,
not
I was
correct
actually about
for
to
you.
stop. I was actually about to
Okay,
stop.
that's
So
fantastic.
you paused at the
So
right
I
time.
knew this was okay. All right then. So I'm gonna leave Nigeria right now. I've been to North America. I'm in Nigeria. I'm going to the southern part of Africa to go and meet Nozibele, so that we can also discuss another angle to all of this, which is execution and leadership perspective. So you can see that I have interactions and understanding of each of the speakers. So I've also broken the conversation around from strategic perspective to governance and value perspective to execution and leadership perspective. So Nozi, we're going to be focusing on leadership alignment and execution discipline. Of course, when we say PMO must align with strategy, we're still not taking away the ability to execute from the PMO. So basically, in many organizations, and again, you can take this as my question, execution challenges are attributed to process capability gaps. How much of the problem is actually a leadership alignment issue?
I would say that it's a significant part of it, approximately around 50 to 80% in most cases. Because if you don't have aligned leaders in terms of prioritization of things that need to be executed from the executive level, in terms of decisions as well, and measures that needs to be taken accountable of, and looking at the excellence process. If you've got executives which are not aligned, then even the most excellent processes that can be put together by the PMO office and the skills from the diversity of the teams that are doing the execution, they will not be able to deliver reliably. And unfortunately, when it comes to leadership alignment, the most fundamental things that they need to look at is making sure that they bring in alignment in terms of the resource allocations. That talks to prioritizing the budgets in terms of knowing what gets done, where the budget goes to, and also looking at investment in terms of the capacity building. We also have to make sure that there's alignment in terms of clarity, in terms of purpose. I think both Christy and BC have spoken to clarity and how important it is when it comes to specifying everything that needs to be done. So when there are clear goals and the clear goals are shared across all the portfolios, then it means that all the portfolios are aligned in terms of what needs to be executed, and also aligned in terms of the trade-offs that the business is willing to sacrifice. And that really makes sure that the local decisions are made in time and without constant escalation to executives, and which obviously has an impact in terms of the execution timelines. Alignment with leadership is also crucial in terms of ensuring that there's enforcement of discipline. So where we have dashboards that are showing the performance rhythms across all portfolios, that brings in accountability in terms of the matrix that are being looked at from the different portfolios, and making sure that there's consistency in terms of how the execution is done. Because if we sit in a place where the leadership is inconsistent, or even avoiding some hard questions that are required or hard conversations, then it makes the execution level really weak in terms of the fact that they have to wait in lengthier periods to get approvals, and really that hampers on execution. There's also an alignment that is required in terms of coordination and change capability investments. So that means that leaders need to decide when to invest on capability or when to invest on changing the ways of working within the environment that execution people are working on. Because when we have misaligned leaders, they send mixed signals that really waste on a lot of those investments. So if all the leaders are aligned in terms of where the capabilities or where the investment goes into when it comes to capabilities and change, then that really assists a lot. So through fixing the alignment of the leaders, really, it first multiplies the effectiveness of any processes that are in place and also the capability investment. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much, Nancy. So let me ask you a practical question. What are you've been in charge of capital projects at Broadwater, and you've seen this firsthand. So what are the practical steps that an organization can take to strengthen execution discipline at the enterprise level?
Yeah, so I think the steps that can be taken by organizations firstly is aligning leadership, because if you don't have an aligned leadership in terms of priorities of the organization, that's where the foundation really cracks. So if we've got aligned leaders across the C-suite, and they all know the top priorities of the organization in terms of the goals that are required and the strategic objectives that are aligned to that, it makes it easy where all the portfolios are in tune in terms of what needs to be executed, and there are explicit trade-offs that are also shared across with all the portfolios. So all the portfolios will be on the same wavelength in terms of clarity of the top priorities of the organization and the goals and what needs to be executed. Secondly, I think the most critical component is simplifying decision making, because if there is a lot of bureaucracy in terms of decision making, that really hampers or stalls progress for the executors. So where there are clear boundaries in terms of decision making for critical areas, it makes it easier to ensure that there is a fast turnaround time of giving input when it comes to decision making. I also think that when it comes to KPIs, KPIs should be aligned throughout the C-suites, so that there is clear common accountability for each and every leader within the C-suite when it comes to ensuring that when the dashboard comes live in terms of the metrics that are being looked at and all the KPIs, then all leaders are aligned and they're able to talk to their specific areas and how they account to how the contribution needs to be given into execution. And lastly, I would say that continuous improvement is the most critical component. We have spoken to the fact that we are in an era where agility is the most critical way of doing things. So we need to ensure that with all the metrics that we put in place, we're able to do a review of them and ensure that there is optimizing value-based focus in terms of ensuring that there's continuous improvement. Where there are certain things that are not working, we need to make sure that we look at how to adjust them, and where there are things that are working well, we need to make sure that we capitalize on them and increase the value to make sure that the execution phase gets a sustainable. Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much, Nazi. At this point, we have heard from all the leaders in the room, amazing Amazon leaders, project leaders in the room. So thank you very much for your insights. So we'll now open the floor for questions from our audience. So if you have any question, you can rightly, put it forward. Just drop it in the comment section. We're going to pick it up and, have you have one of our speakers to speak to it. Going through the, the comment section now, if there is anyone I could pick, I would quickly do that. So
the questions have been
somebody
collated
said
and sent across
to
to
where?
you on
Where?
Teams. On Teams, all the questions have been collated and sent to you.
So is another level of work. Let me see. Okay. Can you put it on my WhatsApp right now so that I can look at it without closing these Teams? So somebody said my question is, what are the practical ways PMO can use their office to drive taking up and monitoring projects with clear value and not just another project that comes from the product team? Kristen, you want to take that?
Yeah, so, and I was looking through the questions as well as you were speaking through that. So the question really is about practical ways the PMO can use their office to drive taking up and monitoring projects with clear value and not just any project that comes from the product team. That was the question, right?
Yeah.
So, I think for this, it's everything that we kind of have talked about. If you are in a product-driven environment, obviously there's going to be a cycle of where these projects are originally, or products that are talked about. One, do you have a seat at the table? Or are you just being told this? So ultimately, if you don't have a seat at the table, I'm going to encourage you, how do you get a seat at the table? Because then I just talk about, even with my teams in the past, are you order takers? We don't want to just be order takers. So even if it's, hey, can I set in and listen to whatever that governance cycle is? Even if you're just listening initially, and then you're like, oh, well, can I talk to you about my team's capacity? And so you're going to start then getting a seat at the table, start enabling conversation. And then, just as we talked about earlier, it's asking the questions. I think too many organizations, whether you're a nonprofit, for-profit, a lot of organizations, and I feel like this, a lot of us are swimming in these broken systems. Executives don't fully understand project portfolio management. They're not lean, right? We just we'll buy another tool, we'll do something else, instead of really looking at, how do you lean out our operations, and then how do you equip the organization to be people change minded? And so some of it really, it's just asking the questions. Your PMO or your product driven team may not be super mature. So you have to focus on yourself first, and then start getting a seat at the table, and then start asking the questions to really get people thinking in a different mindset. And it's not, I always tell my clients and my leaders, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you have to give yourself grace too. And just everything that we talked about before, post go live, your team should be enabled in with monitoring those KPIs post go live. So that gives you another way of not just delivering and executing, but if nobody in the business is tracking those KPIs, take it on. We'll report out on it. And then start to enable the conversations with, like, okay, well, this one's not hitting its intended KPIs. That'll then further the maturity of the organization. But here again, it's not going to be an overnight thing.
Thank you so very much. You've actually done justice to that question. Oluwaseun Shonibare, I hope your question has been dealt with. So the next one is, I'll give this to Bissy. Does the shift from PMO to VMO require a formal resetting of the office mandates? If yes, you've moved from a PMO that is project and program based to a portfolio management based PMO, which is now a value management office. If yes, how is this done in non-projectized organization? Ekerel Bong Ruben. That's from Ekerel Bong Ruben. So basically, take this, if you like, if you will.
Thank you for that great question. So Central Bank of Nigeria in itself is a non-projectized organization. And that is why a non-projectized organization will actually do well to have a value management office. I think there are two ways to answer this question. I'd say yes and no. A shift in the sense that you have to shift from just being a PMO to a value management office, not just in the name, but in what you deliver. So for instance, in the Central Bank of Nigeria, in order to be seen to add value, we had to review again we call it the EPPPM, which is the Enterprise Portfolio Program Project Management Policy and Framework. So in that policy and framework, we're still called the PMO, but a lot of emphasis has shifted from an activity-driven PMO to a value-driven PMO. So I said a lot of that when I spoke about benefit realization. So we now have a benefit realization framework. We have rejigged the EPPM framework so that we can actually use it. So all of this now compels anybody within the central bank managing a project to comply with what benefit realization and value management is saying. Perhaps in a number of years to come, after my time, it would no longer be called the EPMO. It might be called the EVMO, Enterprise Value Management Office. But more critically important is what value do we deliver? And we can show that we deliver value by ensuring we embed value management in the way projects are run. We ensure we provide that support to all the project managers. Everybody running a project now in the Central Bank of Nigeria. I know you say certification is not just about certification. So while they gain the experience, they all have to have some form of project management certification. So we drive that, and that ensures standardization and bringing value to the delivery of the project. So yes, I just say finally, it's by introducing a framework that has embedded value in its delivery. That has helped us a long way in delivering value in the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Thank you so very much. The last one is just a comment, and it aligns with what you've just said. Somebody says value management office is just a nomenclature. If the right thing is done from the onset, you don't need to transit from to anywhere. PMO is PMO, and needs to be well set up. Chukwuji, I agree with you. So we're not talking about the nomenclature here. We're talking about the value that it delivers. So for those of us that have seen the evolution of PMO, we're talking about the evolution of PMO in terms of value delivery. It's not about what it is called, but it is more about what it does. So for a child, he's a man. Even when he was born as a boy, he's still a man. But it's by choice that it decides to, even when he grows up, you can grow old and not grow up. So, and decide to take responsibility. It's about the responsibility that you take that makes you a man. It's not about your age. So it's a default that you grow old, but it's optional that you grow up. So we're talking about the maturity of the PMO. So for organizations that have set up PMOs in the last 10, 15 years, what has happened in the evolution of project management, about 5 years ago. It's not the same thing that is happening right now. There was no AI. So it is about how does the project management office, whether you call it project management office, whether you call it portfolio management office or whatever, it's just ensuring that the right work is being done by the organization. And I hope that justifies or answers your question. There is a question by Godson, which asks, and I'll still take this back to you, BC. What practical skills must PMO personnel possess to deliver on value proposition? You lead the initiative across the bank. So, what practical skill must a PMO personnel have in 1 minute?
Okay, we've said it all, but in 1 minute, I'll just say ensuring you're delivering, to ensure you deliver value, you need to be able to articulate that value. You have to have a good understanding of your stakeholders and what value actually means to them. Who are the end users who can affect or be affected by that project? What value means to them? What value means to your sponsors? And you need to be able to collate all of that in a value statement and a value plan. Like I said, articulate it, monitor it, manage it, track it, have owners of this and then deliver it. So you have to be consistent. You have to persist against all odds that this value has to be delivered. It's like your reputation is at stake, so it must get done.
Thank you so very much. On that note, I would like to let you know that we spent 90 minutes of critical engagement here, and I would quickly do the honors of recapping what we have learned, or what I've learned, or the notes that I've taken here today from this amazing individual. But before I go forward, I'd like to let you know that the practical insights that have been shared by them, I'll get closing remarks from every one of them. But before then, if you've been part of iCentra webinar, Transform, our webinar series, you know that you don't just come here empty-handed, or you don't just come here and leave empty-handed. There are always offers that we make and give to people by virtue of takeaway that you get before leaving. So I'll just quickly do a recap, and my colleagues will come back and give you IWD. They call it IWD, International Women's Day or month or week offers to you guys. So let me start with, let me do my recap. In the opening, President made us know that PMO perception as a partner of value is very, very important. The perception of PMO. And BC also made us understand that the PMO needs to be a value, in their opening statements, be a value catalyst and be a strategic partner beyond just execution. And this comes with clarity, alignment, and value. And Nosbele made us to understand that value and benefit realization, together with agility and collaboration, is what makes, our opening address was very heavy, but I'll just take something that I wanted to to share with you. It's very, very critical. Agility, collaboration, value and benefit realization is what makes a strategic PMO and is the value management office. Then also in the course of the conversation, talking about the misconception that we have about PMO. Most PMOs are being viewed as admin engine room instead of being the catalyst of value within the organization. So, the PMO needs to show value and be strategic advisor, and most especially use data to drive decision making. Why do they struggle? Yes, they need to elevate and move from project management to project leadership, and have conversation, report at portfolio level, because the executives, I'll say, don't care about it, more about execution, but they care more about the results. But we get stuck in our language and talking about our technical stuff. So this is where branding needs to happen. With AI coming, you can't get stuck with the admin function. So talking about the fundamental change that needs to happen, it's about shaping the outcomes for leaders, speaking the language of business, getting in the room and asking. She said a lot about asking the right question. You need to ask the right question. When you ask the right question, you're granted a table in the room. So, and I think, again, the PMO leaders also need to position as leaders, not at backroom office. I've seen so many times when new management comes into organization. It has happened to one of the organizations that I'm supporting, and I won't mention name, that I just rebranded recently, new focus and all of that, and PMO is gone. Okay, so it happens so easily for your PMO to be taken out. Then speaking to BC on portfolio governance, to ensure that the right, portfolio governance, the importance ensures that the right projects are aligned to the strategic direction, and value must demonstrate value from the beginning at every point of the project. Then benefit realization is focused on outcome as against, so many organizations focus on outcome as again, outputs as against outcome. So benefit is okay to, is important to articulate benefit from the onset, which is what the central bank has done, so that they move from activity and focus on benefits beyond going live. Then I asked a practical question of how organization can move from where they are to where they want to be. So it is about value justification, value case justification, and strategic alignment. Nazibele, amazing work. I'll keep it simple because she shared a lot of nuggets. It's about, she drawed on continuous improvement as a critical success factor for execution and leadership, and also helping organization and leadership to simplify decision making is very, very important in ensuring that execution is prioritized. Then again, she spoke about KPIs should be aligned with the aspiration of the organization and the C-suite personnel. So when there's a disconnect within the aspiration of the organization and the language that the C-suite understands, there's always a misalignment, and value is not demonstrated, and your PMO can be disbanded. Hey, we need to understand that nobody employs for just employment's sake, or your title as PM, as a project manager, is not automatically going to open doors for you. Yes, we value your work as project managers, but what value are you actually delivering? That is a conversation that is more important in the room. So asking the right questions, getting a seat at the table is very important, and also projecting the value of your PMO is also very important for practitioners, and you need to articulate the value. So most of us don't speak the language of business. So we speak our technical language, and business leaders, the C-suites, don't care about your technical language. They don't care about your report. They want to see value being demonstrated, being articulated, and that is how you become part of the decision making. Because if you are not at the table, you are actually on the menu on the table. So you can be hard for, you can pass for the menu, and before you know it, decisions are being taken that adversely affect your career as a peer. So create value, drive conversation, show data, and be a strategic partner. This is much that I've been able to learn personally. It's like going back to project leadership class again for me, and it's been very, very rewarding. So the next thing now, before I call my panel to do their closing remarks, I'll call on Ju to come back and give us what she's got for us. Uju.
All right. And there you have it. It's been an insightful session. And I say a very big thank you to the moderator and all the facilitators for giving of themselves, their wealth of knowledge and experience unreservedly, right? And to the webinar attendees, we say thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time and your questions. Please look out for a follow-up email where you would be receiving the webinar recording, additional resources, and of course, upcoming opportunities. So if you've joined the webinars in the past, you would know we always have goodies for you. So as part of the goodies, prepare your phones, get ready to take a screenshot or scan the QR code so that you would have access to all of these goodies. So in the spirit of International Women's Month, we have the IWD offer, and this is for women in corporates. So we are supporting women-led organizations with expert strategic advisory sessions. So this is Fastest Finger, and this offer lasts till the 30th of March. So you want to take advantage of it. It would be for only 3 organizations. So Fastest Fingers first. Next offer is Mighty Team there. Can you move the slide? Yes. So the next offer is for women who are in their mid-level career professionals, right? We'll be offering 10% off plus career growth tools, 10% off on programs and certifications in project management, digital transformation, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. So scan the QR code on your screen so that you can take advantage of this offer. It lasts till the 31st of March. Fastest Finger again. And yes, we have something for Africa and North America. So do you want to become a certified associate in project management? This is time for you to take advantage of this. So if you're in North America or in Africa, anywhere in Africa, Nigeria especially, I would advise you to take advantage of this opportunity. Again, scan the QR code on your screen so that you can gain access to all of this. Remember, it is Fastest Finger. You want to take a screenshot or you want to take a picture. Yes, we have our April calendar, both for North America. Remember, iCentra has presence in Nigeria, North America, and UK. So we have our April calendar for North America and Africa, Nigeria precisely. So you can also take a picture of this, scan the QR code so that you can have access to our calendar for April. Next slide. Oh, yes. So because you attended this webinar rather today, you can use the coupon code so that you can access this. This is only available to people who attended this webinar today. So make sure to scan the QR code, use the coupon code so that you can access all the offers that we have for you. Yeah. Next slide. Okay, so I'll be handing over back to the hosts. Oh yes, so before I hand over back to the hosts, make sure you follow us across all our learning platform at iCentra Learning on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and of course, Facebook. So I'll be handing over back to the hosts so he closes the session properly. Thank you.
So maybe thank you, Uju. Maybe it's time to identify as a woman now so that I can get some goodies too. So thank you so very much. I'm going to take you from Southern Africa now and get a closing remark from Nozi. Please, Nozi, what's your closing remark? Give us a closing remark, please.
Thanks. I think in terms of closing remarks, with the discussions that were held with my fellow participants, One thing that came out vividly is the fact that clarity is very key in terms of articulating the value that's required from the PMO and value that's required from the projects that will be executed, and being value-based focused. What's also coming out vividly is the fact that you have to change the mindset once you get into a VMO mode, in terms of making sure that governance is aligned with value-based focus, and also the tracking metrics that we put in place are also aligned with creating value, and also that the processes that have to align with the value creation as well. So I think those were my nuggets that I took away from the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Nazi, for succinctly articulating that. We go to the woman with the cash, the central bank.
So if there's one message I hope we all walk away with, it is this: a PMO is not just a structure, it's a force for alignment, a force for discipline, and above all, a force for value. And finally, in closing, I'd say I'll encourage everyone listening to this: be bold, challenge the old ways, build systems that illuminate value, create PMOs that don't just track progress, but accelerate progress. Because if the PMO becomes a value management office, it doesn't just support the strategy, it becomes the heartbeat of the strategy. Once again, everybody, thank you for listening in.
Thank you. Just so that you know, when you retire from Central Bank, we would have a special seat for you somewhere so that we can consult you on PMO, portfolio management offices, and the amazing work that you've done will last generations. Thank you so very much.
I'll take you up on that.
Now,
thank you.
So we go to the North America and get to speak with the amazing Yvonne. Kristen.
Yeah.
Wow. So hold on. Let me tell you the proverb in my language that the big masquerades gets to dance last. I'm not saying every other person is not big.
I love it. I love it.
So go ahead.
Wow. I love the idea of a heartbeat. And because that's ultimately the space, the PMO can really transform the organizations. And just as we talked about it, and I'm glad we talked about PMOs dissolving, because whether you're looking at PMI or Gartner, 50 to 75% of PMOs fail within the first 3 years. And so how do you create that value? How can you be that heartbeat? I love that. I'm going to start using that. How can you be that heartbeat for your organization and for your executives? And it's truly coming down to, what value are you creating? How can you help enable the conversations to talk about what is the risk that is reduced? What is the strategic trade-offs? And so really focusing on yourselves as project professionals, we do deserve a seat at the table. And so moving out of that admin function and really truly focusing on being that strategic value data-driven offices that we can be for all of our organizations. And so whether you're a PMO, whether you're a strategic PMO, a VMO, it doesn't matter, because I think we all can be that for our organizations.
Thank you. So amazingly put together, Kristen. We appreciate your insights shared today. And this is a masterclass. It's not a webinar. This is a masterclass in enterprise portfolio management office, or call it strategic PMO or value management office, whatever you call it. We've been educated, we've been reorientated, we've also been impacted by your knowledge in this room today, and I'm happy because this these women have done justice, and they have led across industries from health to infrastructure to the economy, and the amount of knowledge in this room is amazing. Next webinar, we do this every month. The next webinar is going to be the last Thursday of April, and we're going to be focusing on something rather different because, at iCentra, we operate across 4 solution domains. The first one is enterprise transformation, where all our agility, agile transformation, digital transformation, or AI transformation all sits. The next one is strategy and execution, where PMO solutions, change management, strategy and execution capabilities sits. The next one also is cybersecurity and governance, and GRC. So we're going to be speaking to our solution, our cybersecurity and GRC domain next month. So, and the last one is learning and talent, which, cut across, we develop capacity across all of these 3 domains and also do some executive leadership. So next month, get ready. We're going to share the details with you as soon as possible. For those that are PMI members, you have 2 PDUs that you're going to receive emails as regards that, about if you have attended this and you're a member of PMI. What else do I need to share? My sincere appreciation to everybody that has joined us today. Please go to LinkedIn and follow these amazing women. I follow Christine like my Bible or Quran. Every post she makes, very educative. BC, I think you need to share more your wealth of knowledge about enterprise PMO. I mean, you're an embodiment of practical knowledge. And Nozibele, as a leader in this industry, our people need to follow you. We need more female leaders and role models in this industry. If you can do it, then the younger people can also do it. So when women lead, they create change. I'm a father of 3 girls, and I want my girls to be able to look up to you, ladies. So we need to share more insights. Please follow them. And if you like, follow me too on all my socials. If you put a .com, put Taufik is spelled at TAOPHWEK. If you put a .com in front of it, you're on my website. If you put @ in front of it, you're on all my social media, inclusive of LinkedIn. I share insights around leadership. I share insights on project management strategy, technology, innovation, and learning, and development. These are domains where I've practically worked over the last 25 years plus, in this field. Please, let's have conversation. And if there's anything iCentra can do for you, that Christine can do for you, BC can do for you, and Nosy can do for you, please reach out to them. The whole idea of having them here also is to promote their personal brand and what they do. So we're going to be sharing these videos with you, with the community, and with them as well. Please help us to give a round of applause to our speakers, emojis, and I think we can do something. Can everybody turn on their cameras right now so that we can take a digital photo of the participants online today, and we can still share this memory? Just for a minute, just turn on your camera wherever you are. Amazing. Look at the beautiful faces of our project leaders. Please turn on your camera. I see my fellow bankers from CIBN. Abdulkadri, thank you. Damola, thank you. Muiwa, thank you. Amos, thank you for turning on your camera. About Sunday, thank you.
The technical team kindly jump on this, please.
Godfrey, I see your face.
And the technical team, can you jump on this?
If you're not able to
Yes.
do it, as many people that can take the pictures, just take the picture and share with us in the group. Just do a screenshot and share with us in the group, the chat box.
We're done, sir.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you very much again to all of the facilitators, and we encourage everyone to stay connected and explore how iCentra can support your organization's transformation journey. Until next time, and that's in April 26th, to have an amazing day ahead. Bye, everyone.